welcome to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him at GodsFiveMinutes@gmail.com. Now, here's Ed Wilson with God's 5 Minutes.
Hello, friends. John 20 describes the resurrection of Jesus thus: Then cometh Simon Peter following him, and went into the sepulchre, and seeth the linen clothes lie, and the napkin which was about his head, not lying with the linen clothes, but wrapped together in a place by itself. Then went also that other disciple, which was John, and he saw and believed. John came to the empty tomb and found Jesus' grave clothes folded neatly together, with a napkin that had been about his head laid apart from the rest. With a brilliant flash of illumination, he grasped in a moment the silent message Jesus had left for them all. His body had not been hastily removed. This was not the work of hostile hands, seeking in death to deny even the small consolation of being once again near the departed loved one. Nor was it the work of friends, for they would not have dishonored the body of one so dear by carrying it away nude. No, the man whom they had so recently seen in the final moments of mortal life must surely have done for himself what he had bid to be done for Lazarus when he instructed for him to be loosed from the grave garments that bound him. Nor did he go out like a man who was merely unconscious and, coming to his senses, realized afresh his peril and ran away. Calmly, deliberately, in the majesty of his lordship over death, and with no need to be concerned with soldiers or Pharisees, he rose from his lying position and left order where there had been confusion. John's sudden realization of what those empty garments meant is summarized with, he believed. This was a major stride forward in his growing faith, and he has been moved by the Spirit of God to record it that you and I might benefit. But Mary Magdalene stood without at the sepulchre weeping, and as she wept, she stooped down and looked into the sepulchre, and seeth two angels in white sitting, the one at the head and the other at the feet, where the body of Jesus had lain. So here was Mary, she for whom the Lord had done so much, and she who loved to that same depth. Early in the morning she came to the tomb, for how could she stay away? Others might go, but she, disregarding the morning's chill and the weariness of sorrow, lingered to water the grave with her tears. And she saw the heavenly messengers, two angels, who immediately offered their comfort. Woman, why weepest thou? Angels had hovered over the cradle and heralded to the shepherds at Bethlehem when the baby came. And now as then they stood as sentinels over the place in which his form had lain. And yet these heavenly beings seemed not to have impressed Mary. She was so yearning toward the one who had filled her life, her thought was only to ask information. Oh, but such information as she received. She turned away from these beings and then saw an approaching form, whom she mistook in her misery for the gardener, and offered, if only she could be led to the cold, still form that, despite his obviously greater size, she would with her own hands try to bring back to what she supposed would be his last resting place. And then, with the utterance from the familiar beloved lips of just one word, everything changed in an instant, and her sorrowing tears were replaced with overwhelming joy. Mary. No one else had ever spoken that name to her with such complete comprehension of who she was in her entirety, nor with such compassion of all her needs of soul, body, and spirit. Mary. The first words of the risen Christ are on his lips yet to all sad hearts. He seeks our confidences and invites us to tell him the occasion of our tears. He would have us recognize that all our griefs and all our desires point to one person, to himself, as the one real object of our seeking, whom finding, we need weep no more. Well, may God be with you and your families this Easter. May you find rejoicing in the hope the old story brings to us all of a future resurrection day, when he may dry your tears and my tears as he did hers. Have you talked to him today?
You have been listening to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him by email at GodsFiveMinutes@gmail.com. Tune in next time to hear more encouraging thoughts from God's Word on God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson.